Wednesday, August 22nd, 2018, 6:30. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, just a few notes. This meeting is being taped for TCTV, local channel 8. If anyone else is taping, please raise your hand and let us know for the record. I see nobody's taping. Comments are only allowed during the public comment section of the meeting for the benefit of those watching at home and the board. Anyone wishing to comment at that time will need to come to the table and sit where the microphone is in order to speak. Anyone wishing to be acknowledged by the board should raise their hand and wait to be called on. This keeps the meeting orderly and allows the business at hand to be completed. Times will be kept to a minimum so our regular business may be attended to in a timely manner. Thank you all for your cooperation. At this time, any public comments? Please, sir, come to the front table. Just identify yourself for the record, sir.
Dennis Rich, and I'm here as a member of the Narragansett Historical Society.
Okay, Mr. Rich.
We have an event planned for the 8th of September, which is just a little over 2 weeks from now. And I've just been alerted this week about the new policy regarding parking on the common. And in discussing this with other members of our society, we have some major concerns regarding that. And there's a lot of frustration over the idea that we're going to have to purchase additional insurance to cover parking on the common. Our event is actually going to occur behind the building and on our own property. It's just that we need to use the common for parking cars for the people who will be attending. And I guess my request, would be tonight is if there's any way that the board would consider maybe putting that on hold for the time being, and maybe bringing in some members of the various organizations that are going to be affected by this. This is going to have a major impact on not only the Historical Society, the Lions, probably the library, the church, even the kids who use the common for their car washes, and for a number of other events. Even people who come into the community just to take pictures at the gazebo, they use the common for parking as well. People who use the Historical Society gardens for their weddings, they also will need to park on the common. And this is going to be a major issue, and I don't know what they would do about purchasing special insurance for those types of events. But certainly, even the Lions, who have a 3-week Christmas tree sale on the common, that's going to be a big issue for them as well. I don't know if there's any way that you can put this on hold for the time being and maybe discuss it with the people who are going to be adversely affected by it.
Okay, what I could do, Mr. Rich, is obviously to give it some time so we can see what the issue is. Mr. Tanzini? Nothing's in writing as of yet, correct? I mean, we have a small, little blurb.
Nothing's been completely formalized in writing, but as of late, we have been requiring two things. The first is that in addition to the town being certificate holder on insurance, which is essentially a zero, that the town, its officers, and employees be named as additionally named insured. It's very different. It does usually cost, if you have a standing policy, $125, $140 to get that rider issued. The second piece is an indemnification agreement. This is the first year. We did require that of the Friends of the Templeton Elders. We required it of the craft fair. These are more active offerings.
We just required it of a wedding.
And it's been required of the wedding that you granted just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So if you want us to take a step back at it and see if we can figure something out, we can certainly do that. But at some point, Well, I leave that to the
Well,
board
obviously,
where it
the-
wants to head.
I think that's one of
We've
the
already
issues,
set precedent.
is the consistency has to be set. Right.
We've already set precedent.
We have always, at least a couple of members of the board, in fact, have even campaigned on the fact that they wanted to enhance community relationships and get people more involved with activities going on in town. And I know, for example, you, with the Christmas tree lighting ceremony.
Yep.
Before Diane took action on that, we were lucky if we could get 2 selectmen to go to light up the tree, and maybe a couple of dog walkers innocently walked by and, out of curiosity, stopped, but there was hardly anybody there for these events. And yet, after she started campaigning to improve that, we've had many as, I'd say, several hundred people
And
attending
the school
those
took that
events.
over.
And it has involved other organizations in town, like the Lions
The
and
Historical
the fire
Society.
department and the school, or the school band. And it's been a lot of improvement, I think, in community relationships. And to put a damper on that is, I don't think is something you really want to try to do.
If I may,
Sure,
Mr.
yep.
Chairman. In addition to improving community relations, which I am still a total pro-relations, it also increases liability.
That's probably true, but we can't live in a world where we're going to be afraid of.
But as a municipal entity and then as a municipal board, it is our job to ensure that any legal act, we have to ensure that the risk that we are taking is justified and that we are not taking unnecessary risk, and we are doing that. So, I'm not saying this right.
I mean,
It's not to put a damper on it. It is our job to ensure that legal risk is being, that it's, I'm not saying this right.
Minimized.
Minimized, thank you. I just couldn't find the right word. And that's our job as a board.
Right, we have to negate all risks.
Yeah, but I do believe that we need to take into consideration, I mean, the Historical Society is not a town department.
Mhm.
I believe the Historical Society owns
All the more
that building, not the town of Templeton.
Mhm.
So it's
We own the
not a
common.
town facility. So as long as there are people that are attending a function at that private
Then they all have to
place,
park on
if they're
that
parking on the
private,
street, but if they're
know,
they're
you
parking
can't.
on a public street,
then
I mean,
it's
if-
our risk. It's our risk.
well.
Go ahead, Mr.
you
So
could-
if
Tenzie,
you
hold
went
on
and
a second.
attended something at the bowling alley in Gardner, and you parked on the street, that's the town's risk? No, it's your risk for parking on the street.
Mr. Tenzini.
Let me just say that if they are parking legally on the town street for, within the normal parking rules and regulations, Mr. Morrison's correct.
Right.
If they are taking advantage of parking on the common, literally on
On
the
the green.
common,
That's true if they're on the grass, I would.
that is your risk in addition to theirs. Now, if I might ask a question or two, there might be a way to deal with the instant matter while working this through that would preserve the board's policy, yet address the concern while the board works through to a formal. When is this event?
The event's going to be held on the 8th.
Of?
Of September.
September.
It's just
It
a
is
little over 2 weeks
2
away.
weeks.
So if we're not going to be able to have
Are
it,
people going to be parking on the street only?
well, no, I believe.
So,
my-
if I might, there is for the moment, relatively easy solution by which the Templeton Historic Commission co-sponsors this event and has the use of the town common as a town entity covered by town insurance. I wouldn't suggest that you should try to fix every organization's plight of the moment in this way, but it can fix it for the moment. But the organizations also need to understand that we do live in a litigious society,
Mhm.
and the town does have to protect itself. And for organizations that, are sort of getting this in the face for the first time because they hadn't really observed what had been going on earlier in the year, I think we could address it that way if the society is interested and if the commission is interested.
The society and the commission are two different entities. We have to,
If you want the town commission to co-sponsor the event so that the town event is using the town common with town insurance, yeah, you gotta go ask them nice to cooperate with you and give them some due credit and some role in this jointly sponsored event.
okay, that's a welcome suggestion.
It's,
But a
I would,
town, if I may,
Yep, go ahead.
but a town entity can participate as a organizer of
I
a
think that it's,
fundraising event?
I think that it's a way to, yeah, they can certainly partner with lots of different
Yep.
folks. And it's a way to minimize the risk to you while letting these nonprofits kind of adjust to the change of the world, as it were. I wouldn't suggest this for everything,
Mhm.
but it is something that would work in the short term, if this board is interested.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Mr. Carter, how much is the insurance to hold these events?
The rider?
Like, what is the rider?
In my experience, if they already have an underlying policy in place that has the limits you're already looking for, it has tended to be in the low $100, $125, $140. Doug, do you
So,
recall?
from the Friends of the
That's okay.
Templeton Elders, we can't afford to carry a full-time
Year-round,
policy.
yep.
So we get an event policy.
Right.
So prior, like the first 3 years, we paid $175 for the day. This year, we had to pay $400.
Okay, so in that case, it was 2.25, and I think that the spread higher than what I'm thinking is because it was a one-day event.
Right.
Do you know,
Yeah.
did the craft fair tell you what theirs was?
Dennis had said they told him it was 125.
Okay. We're told by another event it was 125.
Yes, the current one that just was held, the craft fair, I understand it was $125 that they had to get for their
And that was for
rider
2
their
days.
policy.
Right.
It's
Okay.
feasible. One who supports nonprofits, I have to agree with everyone here. We're trying to watch out for the safety of the town of Templeton, and we're trying to do it correctly and legally.
Okay.
I know that at the state level, that I've been involved in nonprofit, big fair events, we've had to pay out a pretty large chunk to have that little extra insurance to protect the area. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think it's, I just don't want people to think that it might be we're targeting to get an extra dollar out of these great events that are going on. We're actually trying to follow the law at this point. And if it's $125 per event, I'm sure the craft fair, I went there. Every piece of green land was covered with a vehicle. A 1-ton, a pickup, kids squealing out. We're paying all that extra when we clean that. So
I understand
when
that.
they look at, you have to almost look at the whole picture, I guess, and I feel bad, but it's
some-
just part of the world right now,
Some of the
unfortunately.
feeling regarding that is the fact that they pay taxes to help maintain the common, and they'll also pay for the insurance that covers those type of activities, and now they're being hit with a second charge as well. But
Well, I think for most part, I think it's for
That makes
pretty much everything. I mean, even if utilization of the ambulance, you're still gonna get billed even though you pay taxes in town. Your insurance will, at least your insurance will pay. But it's the same idea. I mean, you still pay taxes for the ambulance, but you're still gonna get billed eventually for that service as well. Or even burn permits, you still have to pay for burn permits, even though, you pay taxes in town. It's the same premise. It's only, the rider is there to protect, Templeton as a town as a whole, for any type of future litigation or lawsuits in the road. If somebody trips and falls, somebody gets into car accidents, you know, something happens. We live in that day and age today, and unfortunately, this town has not done very well in that atmosphere. And it's one of the changes that we're trying to make here, is make it a little bit safer for everybody and making sure everybody is protected, mainly the town, for any future liability. Now, I think Mr. Tanzini had a great idea. I think partnerships with an organization that's a town-run organization, which negates any type of, you know.
That will help us for this particular event.
Right, and I think in the future, I think if you want to look at, there's some good policies out there for one-day, two-day policies for riders, for minimal dollars, that are out there, I mean, that you can utilize. Because I'm sure the National Historical Society has insurance on their building.
We have it on the building and the grounds.
That's
but
correct.
I don't know that
But
it extends beyond that.
If you can get a rider off of that policy that can extend off of that.
Okay.
That's typically how insurance policies work.
All right. Okay, I might,
Something to look into anyways.
all right, and we'll take that suggestion.
Yep, and if you have any other questions, I mean, feel free to, you know, to call the Board of Selectmen office, and, you know, one of them will answer any more of your questions, or email one of us on the board,
Okay.
okay?
I would, other thing is suggest that maybe other organizations like the Lions and the churches and such know about this so that they can be forewarned about
Okay.
this beforehand.
Sure,
Okay, thank you very much.
no worries, thank you, sir, thanks for coming in.
Could we put Mr. Chairman, could we put or through Carter, or could we put a memorandum on the website regarding any events to have, just to let people know that additional insurance will be required? Because this seemed to be news for Dennis, so that it wouldn't be, I mean, at least that would be one place that we would have something, or
Sure,
or we could put it possibly on TCTV.
we can put something together.
Okay.
We'll give them the specific insurance requirements, the specific language,
All
and the
right, at least
indemnification
that,
language,
until we can have the stuff in writing. I'm actually working on that.
until you can get the full policy formulated and adopted. Yeah,
Okay.
we can do that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
You're very
Thank
welcome.
you, Dennis.
Thanks, yes, sir.
Hello, Mike Dixon, 465 Patriots Road, Templeton, Mass. I'm here representing my mother, Earlene Dixon, on 248 Patriot Road. I wanted to talk about a problem she's having with her driveway. Back in the 70s, probably about 73, 74, Steve Manti was the highway superintendent at the time. There's a drainage ditch that runs all along Otter River Road, from, as you well know, down in that little area where the pond is, heading up towards Route 2. And at one time, that was uninterrupted when my mother owned all the land going up there, but they've since built newer houses there. Her piece of property, all along it, is a drainage ditch that runs parallel to the road, and there is a town-owned culvert that goes underneath her driveway. Back on, I think it was the 28th, I had just come back from vacation, and she called me, she was all upset, and she said, I don't know what I'm gonna do, the culvert's caving in, and what all. So I did take a ride over there, and indeed, there was a hole right through her paved driveway down into the pipe, and you could see down into the pipe. I called the highway department a couple times, but at that time, there was nobody in the office. But I took a ride over and I spoke with the mechanic, whose name I don't know. He was very helpful, very helpful. He told me he would talk to the foreman as soon as the foreman got in. And indeed he did, and the foreman took a ride over. And my mother said she saw them there, they looked in the hole, they went away, and they came back with road grindings, and they shoveled some road grindings in the hole and went away. Well, the problem is bigger than road grindings. The entire pipe is corroded and is gonna cave in. It's the only way in and out of her property. And at 88 years old, she's very concerned about it. She does have heavy trucks go up there. Hoodle Oil delivers up her driveway. So she's concerned that somebody's gonna go through that pipe. And we had noticed it, and I have some photographs that I can share with you guys. We had noticed, excuse me, a depression was starting to form, very visible. And So I don't know how we approach this. You know, I'm thinking there's probably a couple options. Number one, we dig it up and just fill it in. If it doesn't seem like we're maintaining the culvert system anymore along the roadsides, or dig it up and put a replacement culvert in. I don't know which way to go.
Well, give us what you have.
Sure.
And what we'll do is I'll make sure that Mr. Tenzie, I'm sure he's taking notes diligently over there. We'll be in touch with Mr. Shea probably sometime tomorrow, first
Have some
thing.
contact information on this?
I think I put my phone number on. Why don't you put my cell phone number on it? And so I just wanted to come over because I don't know how we're going to deal with the issue.
Let the Director of Public Works, along with the highway super, highway, what's his name? Mark, yeah. I mean, because they're smart people, so they would be able to know what avenue of approach that we need to take on this case. I mean, obviously, us sitting up here, I mean, I don't have a clue.
I just
have
wanted to
rely on
present you with the information.
Absolutely.
I just don't want it to collapse on her, especially when she's driving in and out. Because
That would be
That would not be
terrible.
good.
No, no.
If
No.
Mr. Dixon could just
Sure.
come over towards Holly and give us his mobile and email, that
Okay.
would be terrific.
Go see Mark. I'll go see Mark.
Mhm.
That's the.
It is, it is.
Tried and true.
Very good, thank you. If you could just let me know what the plan is, one way or the other,
Somebody will be in touch with you, I'm sure.
I appreciate it.
No
Thank you.
worries. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Any other public comments? I see none. Meeting minutes for August 8th.
I had one, section D.
Yep.
There was a duplicate. Morrison moved to approve. I would like one to approve to be stricken.
Oh, I see.
So, but I would make a motion to approve the minutes of August 8th, 2018, with the correction I stated.
Understood. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion, a second. Any other discussion concerning the minutes? I see none. Cam? Yes. Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Executive session minutes for also August 8th, 2018.
I make a motion to approve and release in its entirety the executive session minutes from August 8th.
Okay, motion, do I have a second?
I just have a
Yeah,
question.
go ahead.
It doesn't matter.
No.
'Cause Diane was absent that day,
Mhm.
but that doesn't matter?
No,
she's
it
just-
does
Oh,
not.
okay. I
Doesn't
just want
matter.
to make
She's
sure.
just making the
I
motion.
think we provided y'all with a previous legal opinion, and we can get that back out to you if you'd like.
Great.
We're good, thank you. So a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion concerning the minutes for the executive session? I see none. Kim? Yes. Julie?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes?
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Okay, moving right along to new business. Appointments and introductions, Mr. Tenzini.
I have no introductions. I believe that Ms. Brooks will have a motion on the appointments. I would only point out that in preparing the end terms, it was missed that with the change in the bylaw, these are 3-year terms.
Yes.
So Ms., and they need to be staggered in this initial round of appointments. So Ms. Brooks will be reading to you some different end dates than were in your packet.
So I move to appoint Jim Brio to the Veterans Advisory Committee through June 30th, 2021. Bernard Heaney through June 30th, 2021. Leo Preventure, June 30th, 2020. Paul Sari, June 30th, 2020. And Brock Dunham, June 30th, 2019. No, that's not right. That's 1 year.
Yes.
Oh, that one's right.
It's
Oh,
staggered.
I'm sorry, Brock
So
has
that
been on,
that
sorry.
staggers them.
Brockton, sorry.
I got you.
I apologize. So those are the appointments.
Okay, these are all for the Veterans Advisory Committee.
Yes, they are all for the Veterans Advisory Committee.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion concerning the appointments of these individuals and their timelines? I see none. Kim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes,
Doug?
Yes.
Diane?
yes.
I abstain. Presentation from UMass Collins, Mr. Ward. Here, come on up.
Thank you,
How are you,
Mr.
sir?
Chairman.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
It's good to see you.
Good to see you. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you for a few minutes this evening. This is to essentially wind up a project that's been going on for a couple years, and I wanted to take this opportunity to kind of review what we've done, talk about the sort of final memo we produced and walk through that and see if you had any questions. And then to, basically let you know that we, the Collins Center, are around and can provide assistance on future work and future projects as needed. So just to give you a quick background in case you or members of the public don't know a whole lot about who we are, the Collins Center, we are part of UMass Boston. We were created by the Commonwealth about a decade ago to provide technical assistance to cities, towns, state agencies, school districts, et cetera, across Commonwealth on all kinds of different public management issues, everything related to finance, HR, IT, we do org structure operations, executive recruitment training, pretty much you name it, we have provided for someone. This particular project actually started a couple years ago. It was a community compact that the town sought under the prior interim town administrator. Initially, it was going to be pretty narrowly focused on the budget document itself. And as we worked with the new town administrator, with the chair, with others, the project evolved and we expanded beyond just the budget document. Actually, ended up doing a bunch of different things that the town, at the town's request, related to the budget process. So just to walk quickly through those. For the budget document itself, we worked with department heads and with the town administrator to put together those department narrative pages that went with the departmental budget requests in the last budget. We think that's a really nice step forward. We help a lot of towns do that in providing context for the budget requests and how tax dollars are spent and allowing departments to really trumpet all the good work they're doing throughout the course of the year that many members of the public may not be aware of. And it's just a nice chance to connect the services you're getting and with the funds that are being spent. We then worked with the town administrator and the chair on that draft set of financial policies, which then the board itself took up and advanced even further, and I believe approved maybe 6 months ago or something like that. So that was great. I'm glad to see that those went through. We drafted a very short document narrative of the budget process itself as it currently exists in Templeton to accompany the budget. And then we produced 3 short memos on a variety of topics related to the budget process. The first was in last October, related to the advisory committee and its relationship with the budget process. The second, and these were all upon request. The second was to look at the potential revenue that could be tied with the meals tax and do some analysis on that. And then the third, which is what I wanted to spend a few minutes on tonight, is we'll call it sort of general miscellaneous findings. So the things that we noted during the course of this project that we thought it was worth separating out and calling your attention to that we would make some recommendations on. So I'll just take a couple quick minutes, go really fast through these. If you have any questions as I'm going, feel free to stop me. Otherwise, I'm also happy to take questions about them at the end. We divided the memo into 4 sections. One was about org structure, 1 financial processes, 1 staffing and management, and 1 other. The sort of, I would say, the biggest and broadest of the findings and recommendations was the first ones, which related to the org structure. And we basically found that there's not a lot of statutory underpinning for the org structure of Templeton. There's no charter. There's no significant or few significant special acts regarding this org structure. There's some in the information in the bylaws. That they had been disorganized. I know that there's a committee that either recently or has been working on that, and that's great to get them more organized. But even once they're organized, they don't say a whole lot about the org structure of the town. And related to that, we note that as with many towns like Templeton that we work with, it's a very decentralized organizational structure, lots of elected boards and committees, lots of appointed boards and committees. And so if you take all of these things together, we always, like to suggest that that communities in a situation like that think about taking some time, stepping back, creating a committee that can really get away from the day-to-day of needs and challenges and headaches of town government, and really sort of think big picture about the org structure of the town and what's going to make sense for it for the next 10 or 20 or 30 years going forward. I'm pretty sure in fact, I know there was a town government study committee, at least 2010, 2011, maybe. I actually came out and spoke once to that group about potentially doing some work with them, and then I'm not sure. I think it went in a different direction. But we think, given that the strides that the town has made over the last few years to get itself back on financial footing and to clean up some other challenges that have occurred in the past, we think it could be a really nice time for the town to consider creating that opportunity to really review and say, is this the structure that's going to best serve the citizens? And the answer it mostly is. It just needs some tweaks. In which case, that you can put that together in a comprehensive way. Or the answer might be no. There needs to be some major changes here. Nothing. The committee would have no predetermined. What it's going to find, but a broad mandate to really look and think and about the structural issues in the town. So that was the first sort of section of findings and recommendations, and the second, financial processes. These are a lot of sort of smaller things, but all I think important in their own right. We noted that payroll is still weekly in Templeton, which is something many towns have moved away from or are moving away from toward a bi-weekly payroll. It's especially given the small size of the financial team here, relieving some of the time that it takes is a pretty significant gain potentially. I realize there are other implications for employees, and think I'm sure there'll be collective bargaining issues and things like that. But it's something that's worth looking into over time. Noted that the town administrator and others last year completed the town's first financial, or maybe not first, but I guess a newly refreshed financial forecast for the town. That's a great step forward, and we wanted to call that out and also make sure that it gets updated each year. That's something that can really be helpful for the town in thinking longer term, and we hope that will continue. Another finding we noticed is that indirect costs are not charged to all the enterprise funds from the general fund. I know that changed, I think, with sewer this year for the first time. Is that correct? There being some indirect costs recapture built in. That we would recommend that that analysis be performed at some point in the not too distant future on the other enterprise funds and the arrangements around the light plant, and just look and make sure that the general fund isn't unintentionally subsidizing some of the enterprise funds, or vice versa. But. Right. So the next finding, the last finding in the financial processes section, noted that now have this set of financial policies that the board has approved, and that's, again, we think that's a really nice step forward, and we strongly encourage them to be monitored and reviewed, and for those that need sort of time horizons for implementation, make sure that there's kind of a plan to stay on track and get those in place. And then also to realize that they shouldn't be all set in stone. That you may discover a year from now, 2 years from now, that something needs to be adjusted or tweaked, and that's fine. As long as they're as long as they're being followed, and then when something comes up, then they're being addressed, not that it just, oh, something's not working, let's, just let it slide, which we've seen happen in plenty of places. So that's it on the financial processes. On the staffing and management, we've noted again, similar to many towns in similar to Templeton, sort of challenges of recruiting when there's a vacancy in a department head or in the town administrator position, and that might benefit from a compensation classification study along with some updated job descriptions, and that also could sort of tie to the town government study committee, really to see do the positions you have, are the roles and responsibilities and authorities commensurate with the salary and with the qualifications that you're looking for, and in order to ensure that you're getting what you want and need to fill those positions. And then the last two, really, even more generally, one, we knew coming in and talking to folks that there's been a history of some animosity and challenges in the politics of the town, and as we worked on this throughout the last couple of years, we also saw that there's been tremendous strides made, and we don't want it to. We always encourage communities not to let the positives get lost, and really, try and keep the good things that the town is doing, that you all are doing, the story going, the narrative going, because that will draw in more people who want to participate as volunteers on appointed boards and as running for office. If they see that, if they really do know about all the good things and the steps that are going in the right direction, as opposed to what people's perceptions can lag, basically. Right. And then the last one is we'd heard a couple times throughout the course of the work we were doing, is that new board and committee members could benefit from more training at the start on things, on sort of narrow things like open meeting law and public records law, and but also some of the broader things on really understanding what that board or committee's mandate is, and what their role is, how they interact with other boards and committees, and even to some degree, because especially for residents who've never served in town government or maybe new to town, what is statutorily, what does a board of selectmen do? What does a finance committee or advisory committee do? What does the town administrator do? What are the roles? How do they fit together, so that they'll know where they fit in to the town government? So that's just a sort of very quick pass through some of the things we found. And wanted to recommend. I ran through the numbers on our contract. Although we've formally closed out the work, we still have 3 or 4 hours left, so I wanted to offer that to you, that sort of on call, if you have questions related to the budget or financial processes, happy to burn up that time with responding to emails or a phone call from the chair or the town administrator for anything like that. And then lastly, I would encourage you. There's, I believe, a new round of community compacts just opened last week. It's a wonderful opportunity to get grant money in to do all kinds of different projects. So I strongly encourage you to go after as many of those as you can. We hope you'll turn around and hire us to do things, but even if not, just keep going after those compacts.
Already on top of that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted to say. I'm happy to take any questions on any of the work that we did, or the Collins Center generally.
If we have any questions for
Mr. Chairman?
Mike? Yes.
I don't really have any questions. I would like to make commentary that I was very pleased. I like this. I made a lot of notes to myself. It was very well thought out and very well put together. Making notes on, thanks for the update on the community compact. I would like to do a compact for, we don't really have any updated job descriptions and the classifications, and that's definitely an issue that needs to be completely addressed. We've talked here on the board about HR and about, it becomes a huge issue in recruiting, and not just that, in keeping. Not only do you want to recruit, but we need to keep. So I commend you for the work that you've done, and I thank you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Anybody else have anything for Mr. Ward? Mike, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll be in touch.
Excellent. We've enjoyed working with the town, with the department heads I got to know, and those of you who I got to know a little bit. And we hope we have a chance to serve you again.
Great.
Great.
Thank you so much. Thanks for coming out.
Yep. Thanks.
Thanks, Mike.
At this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing for a gravel permit. Correction. Gravel permit for Radigan, is that right? Reno?
Renewal.
Renewal, oh, I'm like, Reno, who's Reno? I'm like, I didn't know Reno was coming. Renewal, yes, for Mr. Radigan, okay. Anybody have anything for, everything's been all signed off, Holly? Checked off?
All the departments that are involved are good with it. There was notice sent out to the abutters, and put in the paper.
Great, is there any butters here? I see none. Does anybody have any questions for,
Now Glenn
Please show
always
me in.
brings the same paperwork and does the same thing, and we're always happy to have him. I move to approve the renewal of the gravel permit for Glenn Radigan for 3 years as presented.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
A motion second, any other discussion concerning this renewal?
Yeah, just out of curiosity, what even takes place here at this facility? I mean, it's not going to sway my vote either way, but
You mean like a casino or something like that?
yeah, what,
You making a casino here?
it's just, you just mining this? You just pulling out sand gravel?
Well, I wanted to flatten the land and make it more accessible because it went straight up. And while doing that, we created areas to, reclaim and probably natural vegetation, trees, maybe some blueberry bushes,
Oh, okay.
just something different, just the way it was unusable.
Yeah.
Because both sides went straight up, at least 30 feet at the highest point, and 100 feet wide. So I said, well, let's look at it. We did some test holes and determined there was sufficient material there, so we
Oh, awesome.
went for
Okay.
the permit.
All right. Excellent.
Nice work.
Great, so I have a,
Thank you.
I have a motion and a second, do I have any other discussion? I see none, Kim,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well.
Thank you.
Good luck with your
Good luck.
blueberry bushes.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you. Presentation regarding the FY 18 year-end financial requests.
Do you have an original, Lori?
So,
Thank you.
any candy?
I don't have, yes, almond stuff.
Thank you, ma'am. I guess we'll start with the accountant. Is that okay?
Excuse me.
Okay. So this is our year end. So the fourth quarter in my office was very challenging. My assistant resigned, so that's kind of given me, I've taken on the warrant and the payroll. Lynn, that's been helping us from Phillipston, has done payroll on a few occasions to help me. Her biggest thing that I've had her do is to go back to April of 2017 and do a full audit of all of the sick and personal for all of the employees to make sure that we're on track. That had not been handled correctly, so hopefully when she's completed that, we will have good numbers for all employees. And then the auditors were scheduled to come next week. I talked with Mr. Roselli today, and they've had a conflict, and they're not gonna be able to come next week. So we've rescheduled for September 10th, so that's just a couple of weeks away. That's not gonna hinder anything for us. Even if they do their field work, we still have to wait for the water audit and Worcester Regional, just like we did last year. So that's not gonna hinder anything. I am gonna send him next week everything that I'll be submitting for the free cash certification. Last year, the DOR wanted to make sure that he was okay and signed off of everything. So I'm doing that in preparation that they may ask that again. So I would rather have all the ducks in the row before I even submit it. And then I got the results back from my certification test. I will have to take it again in March.
Sorry, Kelly.
I'll see it in November to know exactly what, I messed up on, and we'll need to study up to try that again. So far, every single person I've talked to that took the test, not one of us passed. So our instructor told us that it's an extremely difficult test, and only a very, very few people ever pass it on their first try. So it's kind of expected.
Okay.
You'll see on the expenditure side, I've given you two things. You'll see the budget versus actual for the end of the year that has everything updated. There was one error pointed out that I did fix today, so that's been taken care
What
of.
piece are we looking at, Kelly?
You've got the sheet here,
Okay.
and then the budget versus actual for expenditures. So what I've done is I have broken it down for you of each department so that you could see it kind of in a nutshell of what the budget was, what the actual expenditures were, and the remaining budget that was left. And so that gives you the total of $595,784.17 that was a surplus of the budget. I really applaud the departments this year. They stepped up to the plate and really, watched what they were spending, and, it was refreshing to not have to be on the wire, of, oh, can we purchase this year because we're not gonna have the money. It was kinda nice to have just a little bit of breathing room, which we've never, since I've been here, we've just not had. So that was very nice. So that's kind of it on the expenditures. And then you have the revenue report. And when you're looking at the revenue, the taxes that we collect are not part of the surplus. They are separated totally. The surplus comes from the local receipts revenue that we budget for. So like the motor vehicle excise tax, the penalties, interest, all of those different things is what goes into play of what is a surplus to the DOR of revenue. As you can see on the motor vehicle excise, we collected $152,000 over what our budget was, which is phenomenal. The license and permits, there's the $150, that was from the school for the permit that we got. You'll see on the non-recurring miscellaneous, three of the items that I know from that is still a cleanup from the prior years for the, firearms permits that we do. The town gets 25% of that, and that had never been reconciled. That was one of the items that I just got to this year to be able to reconcile, and that was about $35,000 that I was able to bring over to the general fund. Also, last year, we didn't get, it didn't get billed to Phillipston, the money for dispatch. So we received that check in this fiscal year. So you have both fiscal years in there. So that makes a big difference there. And the other item, I'm trying to remember. I
FEMA
knew it earlier.
reimbursement, the snow and ice storms back in town.
Oh, right, that was it. We got $42,000 from snow and ice reimbursements from prior years from the federal government. So that was an unexpected amount that we received.
Great.
So those kind of were the big items
Penalties
that
and
we
interest?
had.
The penalties and interest, that's
Yes.
a negative, what penalties?
The
Did you-
penalties and interest, we did not take in what we budgeted, but it nets out to, they look at a bulk total. So if you look down at the 770, that's the surplus. And so it would have been, if we hadn't had that, it would have been 790. So it takes that away. But the true surplus that we had from the local receipts is the 770.
Okay.
Okay. So that's for the budget versus actuals. I urge you to look through these over the next few days. If you have any questions, concerns, anything that sticks out to you, please let me know. Send me an email if you don't have questions now. and I'll get those answered for you.
You have a
Mr.
question?
Chairman, I
Yes.
just had a quick question on police detail.
Yes.
Are we in the minus on that?
No, we're not.
If I'm looking at it wrong? On the what?
Must be
I didn't
police
hear you,
detail.
Julie.
What page are you looking on?
I'm actually looking total excise tax situation,
Okay.
so I might be just confused on the document itself.
Well, these should be on your revenues, so
Yeah,
if it's
these
a
are
negative, then that's a
revenues.
cost to you.
So we've received,
Oh, okay, I see
Yeah,
how
we
we're doing
received
it.
more
It's
than
just because
that.
the top wasn't right.
Which
yeah.
line?
Yeah, the minus means a negative in the revenue.
25, oh wait, so yeah, police detail, it's about 10 lines down on the second page of the revenue sheet, 25,000, 2,500.
2,500 is what we budgeted, and we took in 39.
Okay,
Yeah,
Oh, and you took in
and
39.
Yeah,
You-
so that
you-
left us a credit.
You don't want to see a negative on your expenses.
Yeah.
You want to see a negative on your revenues. It means you're collecting more than
Correct.
you'd anticipated.
Yeah, the
And
top
those-
just didn't have,
And those fees are over and above what the actual officer gets paid for the details, so
Right.
paperwork, whatever, those types of fees that are not part of the actual detail.
thank you.
Is there anything else? And if you look on the very first page of the revenue, we're at a 98% collection rate. So we did very well this year.
off the top of your head, do you know what it was last year?
I'm
Was it-
thinking
It wasn't as close as 98.
96, 97 maybe.
You've been running like 95 plus or minus.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
98 is where I would like to close the year out
So, you mean-
on
That's
an
good.
annual
Does that mean you've been
basis.
putting more liens on houses, or you just?
Cheryl's
That's
done,
only a joke.
Cheryl's done a lot more collecting. She's done.
We are
she's
equal opportunity.
Now it's even
Yeah.
worse.
So that was,
following a lot of things we've not followed for quite some time, that she's stepped up to the plate and gotten taken care of. and that-
Even notices on the tax liens, there were folks, that didn't necessarily know their property had been liened or forgotten about it. 80 letters and a little bit of time to print them and mail them out. And even if that only brings in 3, 4, 5,000, it's a tremendous return on the invested time.
so the reminders are still, that's still
I'd have to
working.
ask the treasurer to speak to how often she's gonna be able to do that. Please remember, she has been down 2 staff members.
Understood. Does anybody else have any questions for the accountant?
Nice job.
Thank you.
And you also moved your office.
Yes, I did.
I saw
My
that.
office,
I saw the sign.
yeah.
Says in here,
Yeah, I'm
behind the
in there now.
curtain, behind the curtain.
Yes, the wizard.
The
I'm the
Taj
wizard.
Mahal of Templeton, the
Yeah.
biggest
I
office.
really wanted to get the beads, that hang there, but I
Right.
decided that was a little much.
That would be a little much.
Yep, yep.
So who's gonna be going next?
That'd be Luann.
The assessor, great.
Okay, fourth quarter tax bills obviously went on time out in April, so this gives me and my board a lot of time to go out and do our field work for new growth. Currently, I and my board generated $102,000 this year in new growth, which is, I think we estimated $65,000 to $68,000 on the recap sheet. So that's almost $40,000 more than what we expected, so that was a nice chunk of money to come in. 3 additional motor vehicles and abatements were processed in the fourth quarter. And then at the accountant's request, we, a couple of years ago, we took the personal property exemption off and we made it $5,000, which left a lot of old stuff on the books, small amounts. So, at the accountant's request, and my board approved it, they, took off all the old personal property debt, was abated off the tax roll from FY7 to FY13. So this resulted in a little more than $2,500 that had come off the overlay account. So that was nice to clear it off the books. That was at the accountant's and the town accountant's request to get those cleaned up. So there are some we still need to clean up, but that was a good chunk of debt to get done with. Town maps, I did update. The map that's hanging on the wall there is no longer the town map. We do have new maps that I
Oh, that should
sent.
come down.
That should come down, I'll have you guys put up a new one. And we did send them out to all the departments, and if anybody else wants a town map, they're welcome to come in and pick one up in the office. The MDM one was submitted to the Department of Revenue on May 1st. This is reimbursement from the state for all the exemptions we give to everybody in town, whether it's a senior, a widow, a veteran exemption. We submit this to the state. So this year, when real estate tax bills went out, we gave out 202 exemptions. And it totaled over $102,000, and the state reimbursed us back $44,187.50. The actual report is right here that I did submit to the state and got approved. It should be in your packets. So that's a little money coming back to the town for exemptions. Admitted and revised, if I forget to assess somebody for real estate properties or such, I have to submit a separate form to the state. Fortunately, I didn't do that this year, or I didn't have to revise anybody's tax bill. So there was nothing on that part of the report, but I did have to submit for 2 chapter lands that did roll back taxes. One was the Eames property, and then the other one was another piece of property up off of French Road. So that brought in another $4,400 in tax revenue to the town too. And that now goes back on the tax roll as regular assessed property. I'm in the process of working on what we call our community preservation report that needs to be submitted to the state by the middle of September. I did up my figures, and Kelly's in the process of just making sure her figures and mine are right, so we can submit that to the state. In June, my Board of Assessors unanimously voted to withdraw its opposition of the Walter E. Fernald Corporation appeal with the Appellate Tax Board. So this resulted in taking off $43,000 on our overlay account. It was committed in the tax roll, so now we have to take it off the overlay. There was money put in the overlay to protect us in case we had to do that, but they decided not to proceed with the Fernald School. So that was settled out of court the end of June. The last week of June, I attended the summer conference for my MAAO association and finally received my accreditation certificate. So now I am a MAA assessor.
Congratulations.
Yay. Long time coming. The office is in a major upgrade, not only with computer equipment, but we're also upgrading our whole real estate program that's mandated by Vision Government Solutions. That's the company that does it all for the town. So my new computers are in, my servers are in, but my actual upgrade with Vision will be done on September 4th. So hopefully by mid-September, all the training and everything will go nice and smooth, and no one will even know it happened.
Right.
I think that's about all I have. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
Wow, you guys are just like busy bees over there. I'm so happy.
Yes, Carter?
If I may, go in, the cartographics upgrade that had to be done to accommodate the vision upgrade, has Tim taken care of that for you
We're
yet?
working on that, him and I are, yeah, hopefully, because I don't really do anything with cartographics till January, so that's a work in
Okay,
progress.
thank you.
And all the notifications went out to all the veterans to get their paperwork in?
Yes, and most of them have been in. Yep,
Most of them,
so, yeah, they
yes.
come right in, sign, and, yeah, their notices went out, a reminder to residents just to, get your exemption applications into, I'm still accepting
Okay.
those.
All right, great.
Yep.
Anything
Yeah.
for the
Quick
assessor?
question, just so when I review this in my spare time, third paragraph, under your quick report there, it says FY 207, is that supposed to be 2007?
Yes, sorry, yeah, I noticed I missed a 0.
Oh, just so I'm not confused when I review it. Thank you.
That's it, you're welcome.
Anything else happening for Mr. Land?
No,
Okay,
thank you so much.
Thanks,
thanks, great job.
thank you.
Yes? How are you?
Good. How's everybody?
Oh, fantastic.
So in the collector's office, we've had some changes as well. Both Lynn and Carolee retired in May, so I've been alone since then with a little bit of help from Lynn. Kelly and I have been splitting her, utilizing her as best we can in either one of our offices. We did hold interviews recently, and we did fill a position the other day. I have a new girl that started Monday for one of the positions, so hopefully that will work out well. We're gonna interview again tomorrow, so hopefully we can fill the clerk position. Like you said, the demands went out for real estate, and Collections are coming in slow, but they're coming in, so it's been working out pretty good getting those out. What else do we have? We did the motor vehicle commitments went out. I attended the Treasurer and Collectors Conference in Worcester Regional. We did a meeting there with the retirement board, and the Treasurer and Collectors Conference at the Cape. I was there for a week and attended that. That was really informative and was good to go and see what's going on and get some information from them. And I have the cash report, the balances, and that is at the very end. Last page. These are the balances in all the accounts.
This one?
Yes.
Oh, this one.
This last,
Yep, I
very
have it.
last
Very
page.
last, yeah.
Okay.
So all these accounts have been reconciled as of 6/30/2018.
Yes.
So these will be
Yeah.
what, okay,
And we
flex on the audit.
reconciled with the GL and all of that.
Have we been able to come up, I know this was in the Q3 and Q2, we were having trouble reconciling certain accounts, correct?
Well, with the sewer department, we are much closer. Things are working better. We're still not reconciled there. And the accounts receivable, I've been able to figure out a lot of the issues with those and had emailed Tony to make sure, a lot of them are from 13 and 14 when
Still?
I mean, would have to go back digging boxes, and for the amounts, they weren't worth that, so he had me make minor adjustments to take care of those. So I only have 2 accounts receivable accounts that don't balance at this point.
Okay.
Everything else is cleaned up and good, and our cash, we were off $3, I think, and 23 cents at the end of the year,
It's not bad.
so,
It's not bad
Wow,
for
that's
15.5.
impressive.
yeah.
Wow.
We've been trying to keep a
Yeah.
close eye on it.
Anybody have any questions for the treasurer?
So, will you be able to keep up with?
I hope so.
The letters and being able to, send those out, like, once you are fully staffed? And I think that I commend you for keeping up, being all alone.
Thank you.
And doing way more than one job. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
And still being, new.
And she's still here.
And for going to conferences, and so thank you, for
Don't stop.
all of you for all, and I love that you come, before us and give us these updates and that we can ask questions of you, and so, yay.
Right.
And I do hope
We
to
appreciate
keep
you.
those up,
Okay,
keep them going out. A lot of people don't even realize it.
yeah,
And
well, people forget, and, you get involved in your life,
Yeah,
and,
so hopefully we can keep them up and when we're fully staffed, get it more consistent and timely.
yep, and it's been working,
It has, yeah, it has.
obviously.
Great.
Okay,
And,
thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Luann, and thank you, Kelly.
have
I
you-
second that for Diane's comments, so great job, ladies.
Thank you.
As far as, obviously, you're managing the debt management well, any issues with that? Do you foresee any issues?
Now, I got a lot of help with it, so it's,
It's that
It's
part of
that-
that job is a huge learning curve.
yeah.
It is.
And we're working through it.
And that's like,
I think they sat in on the first conference call to determine how much in a band to offer for what term and the like, and I thought I saw their eyes glazing over, but they said they were getting a little bit more comfortable.
okay.
And I want to thank Sue. I mean, it truly is a team, because Sue in the assessing office
Oh, it's been
pitches
helping
right
out
in
too, so thank you.
to help out
Luann.
as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, if we can, stay fully staffed as we pick off this backlog, we can keep improving. It's not this, but it has been a nice, slow, steady climb upwards. So if you have any questions within the next 2 weeks, just let us know. This report will be scanned and forwarded to the advisory committee tomorrow, as we do.
Oh, good.
We like to present it to you first.
So, Mr. Chair, every time I come in here, it is definitely a team, including Holly, a team environment. Always, like, you see people like, oh, I'll help you do this, or You know, it's friendly, it's warm, it's inviting. The public leaves with a smile on their face. I just,
Most of the time.
Usually.
no, come on, John, that's not true. I'm here
When I had a
more
paper-
often than not.
I know,
And it's
I know.
really a pleasant place to come to. So, I applaud you all. I appreciate you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Great job.
You don't care, you're not talking to me anymore, because I thought you were good.
This is really good. This is good stuff.
Getting better each quarter.
Yeah, I think so.
The reconciliation sewer remains.
You hear my sigh? This is just not right.
I'm not
It's
being
not,
mean, I'm not
it's not
trying.
right.
Pump station project status, Superintendent Songer, obviously he's not, gonna be here today.
We just have his email that he, I believe, is in your packet, Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
so I have to say that
Please do.
this is about enough, and we ask, and the reconciliations, I've been keeping track, they're not right, they're not on time, they're never, so. I move to inform the sewer superintendent that meetings are only recorded at this location. Therefore, the board requires his appearance at the next meeting on September 12th, 2018, in order to inform the public of the status of the pump station project.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion, a second, any other discussion concerning this?
Yeah, so I attended the sewer commission meeting. So I guess right now the project's actually taking place. They got the shell in there or something like that. I think December is when they're looking at it. They had sent out that Gantt chart, which is kind of showing how it's all taking place. But I guess right now it's kind of chaotic for him. So I could understand why he's not here today, because it's a huge ramp up, like right now, to get everybody in the door and started, so.
Understood.
What Gantt chart?
Did you get a Gantt chart?
I thought it was in that
I
packet
didn't
they
get
sent
a
you.
Gantt chart.
Yeah, I thought it was in the email.
No.
No?
Doug did you get one, Doug?
No.
Did you get one, Julie?
I don't remember getting one.
I don't
John didn't get one.
recall getting one.
Oh, I might have asked him for it when I was at the sewer commission meeting. Maybe
Do you
that's
have a
what he sent
copy
me.
of it?
Yeah, I
Can
can
you
distribute
forward
that.
it
Send that
to
to me?
everyone?
Yeah.
Thank you.
They're still not publicized, those meetings. They're not publicized, and the public, there's a $2.3 million ban, and the public needs to be made aware of exactly what's going on. And he is the sewer superintendent, and we've asked for him to come several times, so.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chair, can I get
Yes.
a statement of the motion on the floor? What is the motion on the floor?
The motion is to have the superintendent of the sewer department be present here at our next meeting, which is September 12th, to go over and discuss with the public the operation in the sewer
station
pump
project.
station project. Thank you.
Or, what if he doesn't come?
Well, we'll cross that bridge when we come.
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
I mean, we made a motion for him to be here.
All right.
So, I mean, he is an employee of the town. I would
Part of our
expect
community.
that he would be open arms to come and explain the pump station to the public and how the operation's going down there and,
It's the public's money.
right, it's taxpayers' dollars. I mean, they have a right to know where it is. I mean, we know we approved the $2.3 million project. I mean, that's all it is. I mean, we're not gonna sit here and throw sandbags at them.
No, I get that, 100%, just for the motion aspect of it. I mean, if we make the motion, it's just as if inviting him back. I mean, I think we invited him, I think Holly did at the last time, so
I believe it's been
I
twice.
don't know if the motion really carries any
Yes.
weight.
Well, he advised that he wouldn't be able to be here tonight, and he invited you all to come to a sewer meeting. I think, if I understood the intent of the motion, it was to reinforce that they're only televised
Here.
from this meeting here.
Right.
I would respectfully suggest a substitution of the word requests for requires. Requests is a little bit softer, might not raise the hackles as much, and I think it sends primarily the same message. That would just be a suggestion that I would make to
Okay,
you
I'll
respectfully.
change it to requests. Does the person who seconded like to change their second to
Would you like to
requests?
second or?
That's fine, I second.
Okay, I got a second. Any other discussion? I see none. Cam?
Abstain.
Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. And I hope to see Mr. Songa here on the 12th. Okay. Amend the personnel policy regarding pregnancy in the workplace. Mr.
This is,
Tanzini?
we presented this to you at your last workshop.
Yep.
This is to accommodate a change in state statute.
Right.
If you approve this tonight, we'll prepare for the chairman's signature the amendment with the proper numbering and then include it in the complete document for reissue.
Okay.
I move to approve the amendment to the personnel policy, RE pregnancy in the workplace as presented. Oh, my leg hurts.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion, a second. Any other discussion? Mr. Tanzini, have you got a chance to look at the, was there any other changes to the other leave policy from the state for?
I did send off to town council this morning a request that he review the so-called grand bargain with respect to the minimum wage to see if we remain exempt from it, and if there would be any difficulties with us adopting some sort of, lower rate for the students, so we can have a discussion with you. I asked him to review the leave policy as well. It's my understanding that within that legislation, in order to avoid the Prop 2.5 mandate statute,
Right.
They may have inserted, or they have inserted, a local adoption provision. And if that's the case, we'll need to come in front of you and discuss what you all want to do with that.
Right.
So we haven't had a chance to complete our review of that legislation as
Okay.
of yet, but it is underway.
Okay, great. Okay, so I have a motion, a second. Any other discussion? I see none. Kim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Any old business? Nope. Board and staff comments and reports. Anything to add, Mr. Tanzini?
We did put in your booklet, we'd received 2 sets of inquiries from a resident. I was asked to prepare a response. I did that at length. Feel free to look that over. I will tell you that took 4+ hours for us to, make sure we had everything correct, that we'd gone back through the accounting. Some of it is simply a lack of understanding on the part of the citizen. We received another, yet again today, series of inquiries. We will prepare answers to those and provide that to you as well. But I must say that we're going to have to probably come to an end at some point. Those 4 hours, frankly, would have been spent better, in my opinion, on other matters, such as finalizing the personnel review form, those kinds of things. So look those over. If you folks have questions, let me know. And secondly, I want to touch upon Stony Bridge. There's a mention in a newspaper that we might seek an override for repairs. You'll notice that is not in quotes for me.
Who said that?
Well, I don't know. But I will
That was
tell you
never
that it's
mentioned.
certainly not on my radar screen. It has never been
Not in
mentioned
any email.
by anyone of this board. And quite frankly, we are so far from knowing what might be required and what the various grant funds might be, ranging from the Division of Ecological Restoration Grant. I think I may have forwarded that to you. The pre-disaster mitigation money from FEMA, a small bridge program, Community Preservation Act. There's just, 4 state supplemental, environmental bond bill, as the senators attempting to help on the police station, so
Right.
as she offered to help on this matter as well. So I think it's way too premature to even begin to start to talk about a number or where that money might come from.
Right.
Because we first have to go through a design study, which we may need to seek money at the fall town meeting. But that design study will have to range from everything. That'll have to range
The
from,
flow, the
abandoning it to restoring it, but only for foot traffic, to, trying to repair it in place for limited traffic, to trying to meet today's safety standards.
With the guardrails and everything.
We're a long ways from
Okay.
really being able to talk about this, and I just wanted the board and the public to understand that that's not on anybody's radar screen.
I didn't
But I
even, did you
understand
see it
that.
in the paper?
No, when was this in the paper
I
today?
didn't see it in the paper either.
I got a call from the reporter perhaps last Friday, and he asked for a little bit of an update. And my understanding from others is that, in this article it spoke to, and then this was repeated by others. So I just want to get out.
Yeah, that's not even
We
being.
Did
certainly
they quote
didn't say
anybody
that.
directly saying that they,
There are no quotation marks, is my understanding,
Really?
around it, because I sure as heck didn't say it.
sensationalist media?
Uh-oh.
Long gone are the days of Walter Cronkite.
But I just wanted to get out to the public that we're so far away from.
Right, thank you for
Having
updating that
numbers.
for the public, I
So that's
appreciate that.
important.
So I just wanted to thank Carter for the memo for the management fellow. I thought it was well thought out and well drawn out, and it's a good plan, and that I wanted to participate.
Excellent. Do you want to do your open vacancies list? You still have that over there? For the boards and committees?
I think at this point, the most important vacancies, really, we're going into capital planning. Doug does have a full roster, but he's absent a citizen at large, and I think that having their point of view would be terrific.
Okay.
Obviously, we'll get a revised list up on the web tomorrow. The advisory committee filled their vacancy last week, I believe, if I understand correctly. So other than Doug's, who I want to pump tonight, we want to take a moment to go back through the list
Okay.
and then touch upon that next meeting.
Well, it's definitely refreshing to see the 5 new members of the Veterans Advisory Group that was just appointed today. So I think we're hopefully moving in the right direction with all this advertisement, and hopefully the community can come back and re-energize itself, and hopefully we can all start doing things of this.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, do we know where we are with codification?
I sent an email off to town council and the clerk yesterday. When I met with them last, there was a belief that because of some backlog of things from the Attorney General's office, there were a few of them that needed some substantial revision, and it was probably going to be better to do those this fall and then do the codification in the spring, as opposed to codifying it all and then trying to catch it up in the spring. And I've asked them for a memo on that, so I'll remind them tomorrow.
Okay.
Try to have that out to you Monday.
And do we know where we are with the website? Do we have any timelines on when that's going to be live and just kind of going?
You got the templates?
We have the templates and we're just kind of getting back to them.
Okay. Well, we did get several templates. Those are being reviewed by Jackie and Holly. We did take an interim step on the My Town government. There was split responsibility where one person was maintaining the My Town government and somebody else was maintaining the town website. So if somebody made a change in one, the other person wasn't necessarily aware of it. So we're changing the My Town government site so that there will be a clickable link. So if you're on the Board of Health, or you're on the Advisory Committee, or you're on the Concom, there'll be a clickable link that takes you to their town webpage. and we will maintain the membership on just the town website.
Okay.
To eliminate, one, it'll improve the jumps between the two programs, and it will eliminate some duplicative work that, when it doesn't happen just right, causes some problems. I'll circle back to you on that early next week as well.
Okay. And last question, how's Mark Shea adjusting? He's still here? He hasn't, we haven't run him out of town yet with all the stuff that's been going on? The
It's a
DPW.
challenge. It is a challenge due to the backlog, the time of year, and the lack of, the equipment is off and down. And we still have the vacancy, so I did authorize some additional overtime. We did get some good news today, in that the six-wheel looks like it's gonna be available in early October, as opposed to mid-November.
Mhm.
So please keep your fingers crossed on that one.
Was that
we
supposed to be
have-
June?
Pardon?
Was that supposed to be June?
Um,
The original?
no, we ordered it last, December, and they told us this November.
Okay.
So looks like we're gonna have it in early October, which is a good thing.
Right.
Still have the challenge of hiring people to put in it. And we have some good candidates, I think, based upon resume. That's only part of it. And Mark is putting together an interview panel of two area highway superintendents and himself, because he's kind of been immersed in there and sees what's really needed. And then we've got two other highway DPW superintendents, and we're hoping to conduct those interviews shortly after Labor Day,
Oh, nice.
with a target of trying to, assuming all goes well, with a target of trying to get the new person in early October, hold Mark over for a week just to pass some things. He's met with the snow and ice consultant, and he's met with the pavement management consultant, and he's been able to get a number of the constituent requests that were kind of backlogged. So it's not where we want to be, but it's better. It's working better. And yes, he does continue to report to work.
Great. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, on that note, I would just like to thank Mark Shea. I have to say that just with one request, he was able to meet me within 3 days, do a walkthrough at Scout Hall, showed a lot of interest, showed a lot of support, gave me a lot of direction on where to go next with certain things that have been on hold recently, so I really appreciated that. And from our last select board meeting where I had suggested that we had concerns, there's safety concerns with the speed limit on 101, I can say that I just tonight received some information from him that he took the time to put together for me, so I just want to thank him for that. I appreciate that.
Great. Anyone else have anything else to add?
Just that the craft fair was over the weekend. It was a good event, as always, despite the rain on Saturday. Sunday was a beautiful day. Looked like a good turnout while I was there. So,
Great.
Congratulations to the scholarship committee for putting on another great event.
Excellent. Do we need to go into executive session?
I don't need anything, Mr. Chairman.
Do we need to do anything?
Is there any update that Cameron needs to provide for the school?
I can't report on that as of now, because it's
Okay.
still
I
an
was just
executive.
wondering.
Yeah, I can give you, so at the school
Like,
committee.
would that have to be an executive session, though?
I
So I didn't want you to say
Yeah,
it, that's the only reason.
still can't disclose. What I can say is that they haven't come to a close yet on their negotiations. It's still ongoing. And that's pretty much that on that.
Okay.
Excellent. You throwing things at me?
Oh.
Doug just threw that at me. See that? All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion from the crowd? Nothing? Excellent. Kim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thank you all for coming.